All hail the American night, the fading crimson light on the horizon. From birchwoods to redwood forest, from vast canyon to trickling stream, from Appalachian Trail to the concrete garden, a shadow has covered this land. The shining seas still beat against these shores, yet its echo fades off into the wilderness. The tide of man has not waited, impatiently dragging the rowboat of our civilization out into open waters, where the waves of progress have soaked our dreams to the bone until the very marrow of hope has dissolved. Shivering with wet and cold, this lonely seaman clings to his oars, rowing as if his very life depended on it. His eye, straining to find a safe port, beating back the swelling tempest, while the watery sheet of time towers above his head in threatening posture. In the distance, the proud eagle roars, untouched by the tears of field mice. The crash is a foregone conclusion. Tonight, the last generation of memory will be put to sleep, a new reality awoken. Yet, staring up into the hurricane's eye, the force of Almighty upon him, his salty brow stained and grizzled, hands calloused from years of labor, his age bearing down upon him, the old man finds serenity as he, too, is swallowed up by the star-spangled experiment. Down he is pulled to the depths, the weight of water all around him crushed into the foundations. He too has become a building block for the concrete walls and razor wire that are raised up high to pierce the sky in praise of what has long been forgotten. For 10,000 years we did live in harmony with the world, with the buffalo and salmon, and yes, with even the crow. Our trees were not cut but grown. We rode free, savoring the open plains on a land that knew no lord. But then the ships arrived, and the flowers of May no longer held their savor. They bloomed instead a steely gray and spoke to us of a savior who ushered in an age of cavalry swords and gunpowder to save us from ourselves. Our descendants tied to anchors and dragged away in chains from their native shores, while monuments guard the gates for those tired and huddled masses sleeping homeless at the foot of the door, denied entry to their promised land, and Eden no more. Conquered and defeated by the mighty arms of technology, we do not shed a tear. Instead, we stand proud of our accomplishments, for our clean food and water and air, for our cultures that have all but disappeared. The nature of life is impermanent, and we must sail to where the winds of time will carry, across that golden sunset into the house of our ancestors, while those of the computer age simply die from within, a hollow, rootless tree, tumbling at the first hint of wind. So build your statues of granite and light to the vast decaying greatness, showing them the chiseled faces, not of presidents, but of slaves and peasants, those who are whipped and beaten for their masters' sins, who toiled to build these bastions and battlements, born into their poverty and position, as we today are born into our debt and indentured servitude, humbling to the bankers' chicanery, begging for mercy, selling our blood for rent money, while they snicker in the shadows, still overshadowed by our true potential, lest we forget how close we came to the promise they gave of a world without regents or kings. Eagerly the passage we bartered, pressing our aching bodies to the ship's rail, gleaning the horizon of a new day as it slowly rolled into view, catching that glint of a better life, of all the possibilities right there before our very eyes, and holding it as our own, breathing in the freshness of the long and winding tale known only as America. For generations we laid down brick and miles of rail and built up their tall towers. We worked the mines and sweatshop mills for what they'd pay by the hour. We died in wars, we fought and killed those who were our brothers. We sowed the crops and paid our bills, yet reaped only the hunger. So too shall pass these final days, and many will be left to wonder where went those amber fields of grain and the promise of a better future, while millions walk the picket line, living without job or shelter. We huddle close and bide our time, for all will come asunder. We gave all that we had to give, and from us was taking the rest. We put down our books and forgot to question what the television said. We became afraid of different shades of color, of them who had what we wanted, cowering away from any idea that was in our own self-interest, holding tight to the status quo while the merchants of war made it illegal and worse, unpatriotic, to stand against the grain and just say no. Out of habit, we did what we were told, selling off our birthright for a handful of oil and gold, marching to a goose-step drum, squeezing us to become the lowest common idiom. That old man with his lonely oar pushed down to his knees still sings his praise to the failing light, a twinkle in his eye, a man he was and still will be until the day he dies. His whisper lingers in the ear, raspy and full of homage. Yes, he said, I did make a difference. If then, just a little, then a little to create the needed balance. Perhaps a word to the wind may not be heard, and all ears have gone deaf. Yet, if it is our fate to be deaf, then let us be deaf like Beethoven, screaming our joy to the void, filling our own minds with music and the love of what might have may, and say, yes, I will be remembered. Slowly he lays down his tired head and takes his much-needed slumber, the stars watching over with their infinite gaze, silent as forever. All that is written, all that must be, will eventually come to pass. We are merely another chapter in the unending saga, no greater, no less. So close your sleepy eyes and take your well-earned rest. Good night. Farewell. Adieu.